This is Trinesha Catrell, and welcome to First Love Yourself, where love, life, and Christ combine. I am so grateful to have you here on this journey of self discovery and empowerment with me. In today's video, we're going to talk about wisdom. But before we get started, if you're new here, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on more uplifting and empowering content like this. So get comfortable because we are about to get into it. Let's go. Okay, so earlier today, I'm gonna be real because I feel like the best way to help somebody, the best way to help yourself is to be transparent. I really wasn't feeling it a little bit today. Like, I was super grateful. I was thankful of all the opportunities and the things that have been happening in my life lately. And I was thankful of reading the word earlier today. I was reading, I think it was like Matthew 22, 23. And as I was reading through it, it started talking about all these parables. And it was all in red. And the funny thing is, every time I read something in red in the Bible, it makes me think of Medea. But, some people, those of you that know, if you know, you know. And so I was like, ooh, this is a lot of red. Then I said, okay, I'm about to read this because I need to get this word in my spirit, right? And so I read the word, and it's talking about how sometimes we can do all of these things on the outside to look appeasing, to look well, to look so like just great. And the whole time on the inside, we're terrible. We look terrible. Our soul isn't being fed. Our heart is just in ruins, like whatever. Like, we just look a hot mess on the inside. And it really made me think about wisdom. It made me think about how sometimes we are not utilizing the wisdom that we have. We can say, "Oh, I'm super wise because I read a lot of books." But if you're reading books and you're not doing anything about it, that's not wise. That's just you obtaining knowledge. You you are taking in, you're seeing knowledge, you are learning new stuff. But what are you doing with that knowledge? Are you doing anything with it at all? That's really the question I want to ask you at the beginning of this video before we really dive in. Because I think it's important for us to do some self reflection and to really think, okay, is this really helping me or is it hurting me? Is this something that I need or don't need in my life? And I do have an acronym that spells WISE. But before we get into that, I do want to say a quote that I heard from Oprah earlier today in a video. And when I say heard from, I had to correct it quickly because I don't know Oprah personally yet, right? But but one day I'm gonna be, going to Oprah's house. I'm gonna be invited there, and it's gonna be a whole thing. We might have tea or something like that, sit out on the yard or wherever, like in the little garden thing. I'm just imagining in my mind, this was where we would go. We would have tea, we would talk. She would give me all of this knowledge about the things that she's went through in life or the things that would really help encourage me, and I would pour into her and she would pour into me. It'd be a whole thing. I'm just saying. But as she was talking earlier about inspiring others, she said, imagine if you could do whatever you want and not fail. Like today in your mindset, imagine that you could do anything at all, and you wouldn't lose. Sorry, not fail, because failure is a part of success, but you couldn't lose. Imagine you started something and you were great. You did so awesome at it. It was something that you might have learned some lessons along the way, but you would be successful. You would be able to achieve things that you never thought that you would ever be able to achieve in your life. Imagine living a life like that. Imagine taking a moment and really thinking about what kind of life you want to live and actually having it, because there's nothing stopping you. It's kind of like how God's plans are. People can try to get in the way and try to stop you from having a successful relationship. People can try to stop you from being successful in your business. People can try to stop you from being that person. But when God says that you are that person, when God says that you are successful, when God says that you are beautiful inside and out, when God says that you are more than a conqueror, when God says that you are more important than many sparrows, when God says that are not two sparrows sold for a copper coin, and are you not more precious than that? When God tells you who he thinks that you are, no matter what anybody else says, it doesn't compare. It's no comparison to God's thoughts of who we are. And sometimes we let the world come in and tell us who they think that we are, because we put a lot of emphasis on other people when really we can control ourselves. We can't control anybody else, But when we get a chance, when we get an opportunity, we can do things in our life to make sure that we make the best decisions for ourselves. We we have a choice to do whatever it is that we need to do or want to do in life so that we can make sure that we are doing things to the best of our ability. So let me go ahead and get into this acronym so I don't waste too many people's times because I know people got things to do. All right, so the first thing is the W for wise. It is work ethic. So sometimes we want to blame everybody else. We're like, I can't be successful because I'm 37 and it's too late for me to really go after my dreams because there's people on the news who have been after their dreams since they were 12. And now it's too late for me, so I got to give up on my dreams. Or we will go one day and start really like at the beginning of January, everybody in the gym, everybody's like, oh yeah, I'm about to get this summer bod. I'm about to be in the best shape of my life. In February, people start dying off, coming from the gym, and they no longer want to be in the fitness world. They no longer want to be in that body that they envision themselves in January, or they don't want to put forth an effort anymore because it takes time. Sometimes when we look at things, we want it done so quickly that we forget that it takes time. That it's not a it's not a work at a little bit and give up thing. It's a consistency thing. It is us really doing something and thinking, okay, I know that in order for me to receive or be able to accomplish these things in life, I'm going to really have to work at it. I got to really put in that work. And when we're going through life, you have to think about how badly you want it. There's this person, I know AO says it, and there's some other people that I've heard say it as well. They'll say, what is your why? Darius Daniel says it as well. And I think it's important for us to know what the why is because what's the reason why we're doing it? Like, if you don't have any reason why you want to become whatever it is that's your dream thing, or you don't have any reason why you want to help women or inspire other people or be motivational, or you want to work in this finance job, or you want to be a realtor, or whatever the thing is, if you don't have an end goal, if you don't have a vision, if you don't know what your reason is behind it, you will give up on yourself because it will take work. And so when you really know the reason, it will really help you keep pushing. I used to, and this is a little corny example, but it might help somebody, right? I used to, when I first started gaining a lot of weight and I was about to exercise, I had this picture of me like being the heaviest that I've ever been in my entire life. And it was so unflattering. I felt horrible, looked horrible. I mean, to each his own, right? It's in the beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I was still beautiful, but I was not where I want to be. Okay. And so I didn't feel good about myself. And so as as I looked at this picture, whenever I think about exercising now, I go back to that picture and that picture reminds me of the reason why I started working out in the first place. It allows me to get the motivation I need to keep pushing forward. That crunch might not feel good. Me eating healthy might not be as satisfactory as eating, your grandma's biscuits or something like that. But when I look at that picture, I know I can't go back to that person. I know I don't ever want to feel that sad. I know I don't ever want to be that depressed. I know I don't ever want to be hiding from pictures because I'm afraid of how I will look on a certain angle in the picture. I don't want to ever have to worry about picking certain clothes to try to camouflage my stomach because I'm gaining so much weight in the midsection or in certain areas of my body that now I have to be ashamed of doing the one thing that I love doing the most, which is taking photos, right? So it's important for us to remember why we want to do it in the first place so that our ethic will match our reasoning. The next thing is intentionality. Ooh, sometimes we be hustling and bustling, doing the most. We just got, we be like, it's all about the grind, you got to stay hungry, but you do because you got to want it. But all of that is nothing without intentionality. When you are going through life, if you don't know the reason why you want to do something, if you don't have anything pushing you towards your goal, if you don't know, like, hey, I need to take a couple steps this way because this is my goal here. In 1 month, I want to be doing this. And in order for me to do that, I'm going to have to read a book a day, or I'm going to have to read a page a day in order to read 30 pages by the end of the month. Whatever your thing is. And that's just a little example because your thing could be, I want to be more productive at work. Maybe it's not going to look like you're productive out of nowhere. Maybe you say, in 2 weeks, I want to learn XYZ skill so that I can be more proficient at time management. Maybe you schedule Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I take time management skill classes. And I do free courses online because there's free courses everywhere, and YouTube University has the most of them, right? So you go on there, and every day you spend like 30 minutes. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you take 30 minutes of your own time, and you go through and you learn new time management skills so that by the end of 2 weeks, you are better than when you were when you started. You might not be the best time management person in the world. You might not be the top tier person, CEO in 2 weeks, but you will be more productive and you will have more to offer to this company and more to offer to yourself, because one thing that nobody can take away from you is the knowledge that you obtain and implement in your life. So when you are intentional about the things that you want, it helps you find direction. It helps you stay on your path so that you're not all over the place in life. So that you're not saying, oh yeah, I want to be a photographer, but I also want to be a doctor, but I also want to be a dentist. Oh, I also want to travel the world. And I'm not saying there's not a job that might encompass all of those things, but focusing on so many things at once is going to push you further away from your goal instead of closer to it. That's why it's so important to be intentional. When when I talk to certain people, when I'm life coaching or whatever else, the main thing that most women or men want is somebody that's intentional, somebody that intentionally wants to be with them, somebody that is really showing that they are interested in that person. And that takes intentionality. People don't just wake up one day and say, oh yeah, I'm just with this person, whatever, I'm not gonna do nothing. Like that probably won't last. So when you're thinking about your goals in life, you're gonna really have to be intentional about the things that you want and go for it. You can't just be like, oh, give me everything I want. Like, no, you got to really put forth an effort and say, I want these things, so I'm going to go for it. You got to get out of your own way. You got to get out of the scarcity mindset. You got to get out of the scarcity mindset thing I got from TG. Sorry, I had to borrow it, right? And you got to get out of this lackluster mindset of how there's nothing left for me. Like, there's plenty out there. Go get it. You have to be intentional and say, I want this. I'm going to go get it and get it. The next thing is S. You have to sit and take a moment. Sometimes we be ready to go. We be ready to go. And then we'll be like, all right, I'm going to go this place at this time. And then I'm going to go here and I'm going to go here and I'm going to go. And it'd be like, it'd be like Speedy Gonzalez, up, up, up and away. You know, people don't know that underlay, arriba means up, up, up and away. But anyways, right? So we be going so fast in life that we don't really understand that sometimes we have to take a moment to see where we are so that we can see where we're going. We can't just be speeding through life, not enjoying the journey, being so focused and so readily available to hurry up and get married, so readily available to be CEO of a company, so readily available to hurry up and get whatever it is that's in our goal list, that we don't understand that we need skills to be able to get there. We need strategy to be able to get there. We need to be able to do so many different things in life for us to be able to get to where it is that we're going. But you only get that on the journey. The things that God has taught me in the single season is making me somebody's wife, right? It's making me a better person so that I will be ready, so that I won't use all of those things in the past, that immaturity. I'll be more emotionally intelligent so that I'll be able to implement the knowledge that I'm learning from the Bible, from people, from wise people that God, or wise counsel that God is putting in my life. But I wouldn't have been able to get that if I just jumped right into marriage. I would need to make sure that I'm working on myself inside and out. My mind, my body, my soul is being fed. Like the Bible in Matthew 23 said earlier when I was reading it, I can't just look good on the outside and then expect to be married or be with someone with depth. You know, I would need to really be focused on building the inside of me and the outside. Like, not only do I need to learn maybe makeup techniques to be able to learn new skills in that way or be able to work on body and fitness, but I also need to be able to feed my mind. I need to be wise enough so that when this man comes to me, when he's asking me questions, I'm not just telling him to do something silly. I'm not just telling him, oh yeah, just go do that, even though I feel like everybody can accomplish anything. There are some things that you do, it's just not time yet. But the only way I would be able to say that is, one, with a relationship to God, and two, with wisdom, was the wisdom of Solomon. That's the only way I would be able to help that person or my friends or my family members. And I really I really believe it is super important for us to work on ourselves on the inside, to say, okay, I'm going to go to counseling maybe once a month, every other week, whatever your timing is that's good for you, that is allowing you to be able to grow emotionally, that is being able to help you with maybe past trauma or whatever else is going on in your life. Things that will help you set goals, maybe a life coach to help you set goals so that you'll be able to be. And I am a life coach, yes. And I'm not saying it to toot my own horn. I'm just saying it because it's helpful to have someone there that holds you accountable so that you can stay on track. So that you make sure that you're doing the things that you need to do in life so that you don't get off course and be like, oh, well, I said I was going to do this by 2 weeks. Now it's week 3 and I haven't done it yet. Like, no. It's important to have clear, concise goals and to take a moment and really reevaluate reevaluate the things that you're doing in life so that you can become better. If you're saying that you want to learn that skill for the job and you're saying it's going to take 2 weeks, you got 2 weeks. You know what classes you're taking. That's why it's important to point out what you're going to do to put you towards that effort, and you're going to have to take the time to sit there and actually learn it. Not just say, okay, I'm gonna jump over top of all the skills that I need just to be right at this new position, or to pretend like I know it. It's better to know the knowledge and use it than to pretend like you know it and to be foolish. I'm not trying to be offensive. That's why I was like, oh, I don't want to say foolish. And lastly, excellence. Sometimes we will start doing things and we're like, and a good example of this, Christians, people with relationship, people that are Christian and stuff like that, please don't get offended by this. But I gotta be real in this moment. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I'm not trying to be rude, I promise. But a good example of this is broke Christianity. We will say I got a relationship with God, but in order for me to look like I'm Christian, I gotta look broke, busted, and disgusted, like TG says. We will be we will be like, oh, in order for me to really serve God, I'm gonna have to only do things in the church. And I'm not saying anything is wrong with doing things in church. I do believe that there should be a lot of people there helping at church. But also, if God is calling you to help out the community, then you might need to help the community. You might need to, if you think that wearing a pair of shoes with the soles falling off your feet is making you look more religious, it's not. I don't know. I'm sorry, I gotta say it like this. I don't know about you, but the worst thing probably for somebody that is an unbeliever when you're talking about God is for them to look at you and be like, you believe in God and you look like that? Like, I'm not saying it's all about looks, but I don't believe that we need to look our worst and be broke just to be religious or to be Christian in life. I think that is a ploy of the adversary. I think that's just a way for us to, someone else to make us feel badly, because people that are non-religious are super wealthy, and people that are religious are also wealthy. But you don't see a lot of religious people or people with a relationship to God actually looking wealthy most of the time. I mean, depending on the trend, right? But for the most part, when I grew up, I don't know if your upbringing was the same as mine, but it was like this weird mindset of, in order to be religious, you have to look broke or you have to poor mouth everything. You have to be like, oh, we don't have that kind of money. Oh, it must be nice. All those little weird colloquialisms that you hear growing up that really don't. It's like weird that we have that kind of those sayings, when really with God everything is possible. Like, I don't know about you, but the God that I serve is not a lackluster God. He is a God of abundance. He's not the type of God that's going to give me a little bare minimum breadcrumb and a little piece of something. He's going to give you the whole 5-course meal. It was a Lord's Supper for a reason. I'm just saying, but no, seriously. Sometimes we really feel like obedience looks like lack. But obedience looks like obedience. It looks like God is able to trust you. It looks like, if because you were a good steward of a few things, he could trust you with many. It looks like blessings on blessings on blessings. It looks like racks on stacks on packs of blessings. It looks like you blessed beyond measure. Like, the way that my God is set up, it's like he gonna come through every time. And for some reason, some of us have in our mind that that means that we have to have a little bit in order to be praising God. You can praise him in the valley, in the highs, in the lows, when you're going through a struggle, after the struggle, before the struggle, all of it, right? There's not like a you have to be suffering in order to praise God. No, you can praise him every day, all day, every day, right? Because he is who he said he is. Like, I really feel like when we really have to start changing our mindset to really think about who God is and who he said that we are, so that we don't let the world tell us that we're a little bit of something, but we are really everything that God says that we are. That we really remember the reason why we want to do the things we do in life. That we use real wisdom instead of just gaining a whole bunch of knowledge that we never use for anything. I think it's really time for us to change our perspective so that we can change our lives, so that we can be really changing the world. But the only way to do that is if we change ourselves. It doesn't start with us waiting for somebody else to come along to do it for us. We have to really put one foot in front of the other and just be intentional about the steps that we're taking in life. Let God guide our footsteps and use the wisdom, wise counsel, and God's word to be able to allow us to be more intellectually sound so that we can really accomplish things in life. Because I don't know about you, but I'm tired of just living. I want to be living. I'm trying to be out here like doing something with life. But in order for me to do that, I have to be intentional. I have to really have a clear vision of my life and really see that I want to do something big. And big doesn't mean like billions on trillions of dollars. It could look like billions on trillions of people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just about money, it's about time. It's about us really being intentional about the people that we help and the things that we're doing in life so that we can make sure that we're doing something that is helping, not just something that's selfish. And it's nothing wrong with self care, but you have to always remember to really pour into other people as well because people need it. Like the way the world's set up, some people would just be trying to put you down because they had a bad day. But you cannot let somebody else tell you who you are. You have to know who you are so other people won't tell you who they think you are. You have to really say, nah, I'm not accepting that. You say that I'm this, but I know who I am. God already told me who I am. It doesn't matter what you think. I, I, I understand everybody has an opinion, but the only opinion that matters is God's. Sorry, not sorry. You got to really know that you're different than anybody else, that you are kind, you are patient, you are smart, you are understanding. You are that person, and nobody can take you away from you. You have to believe in yourself and trust that you are going to accomplish everything you put your mind to. And what's that saying? Setback is a setup for a comeback. So everything that looks like a failure is just something that is building you up to go towards the thing that you always envisioned you'd be able to accomplish in life. Always remember that. And always remember the first, love yourself. Bye.